Mr. Mike White. So Mike White comes out of the woodwork last year, doesn't do really, no one knows anything about him. In his debut, 20 passes, has 202 yards. And then in his first start, 37 for 45, threw for 405 and 3 touchdowns. Gets hurt, misses a lot of the rest of the season, kind of just like vanishes off of the face of the earth. Comes back, he's the third quarterback for most of the season for the Jets. We saw some Flacco time. Zach Wilson's been struggling, and they decide, all right, we're going to go back to Mike White. 22 for 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns in his debut. Has his wide receivers talking about how they love and are talking to the ball as they're going into the end zone. Really sparked the New York Jets offense, which has been stagnant as of late. So how are we feeling about Mike White?
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't see this coming, to be honest with you. I'm looking at his schedule too. He had the Bears last week. I feel like we should be starting as many players as we can against the Bears each week. He has Minnesota this week, another solid matchup, I would say. Buffalo in week 14, obviously stay away. But then he has Detroit, Jacksonville, and Seattle. He has a very interesting playoff schedule. And I feel like people have been sleeping on him. I know I talked to you about, I felt like everybody was sleeping on him. He's been good whenever he's been healthy. Like, he had 2 really good games last year. Then he got hurt, fell off. No one heard from him again. Now he's healthy again. Another good game. So I'm watching this very attentively. I'm not obviously fully there yet, but I think that there could be something here with Mike White.
Did you use a waiver on Mike White yesterday?
I owned him already before.
Non 2 QB dynasty league, like redraft. Would you have picked him up on waivers yesterday?
No.
Did you pick him up on waivers? Would you hold him as a second QB on your bench right now?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna give you the yes. You're a wait and see. I don't want to make plans, but like
he has a solid playoff schedule if you get there.
Yeah. All right, Zach.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in the same boat. So I will say yes, but it's not like, this guy can be your starting quarterback in a redraft league and carry you through the playoffs. But he answered the questions that I brought up about, like, is he going to bring relevancy from a fantasy standpoint back to these receivers that they've been missing? And I'm actually going to talk about that. A little bit of a preview for my Only Fantasy. But so I really like what I've seen from this offense when it's led by anybody not named Zach Wilson. So I don't know how you pivot away from this right now. I like Mike White, and I would have him on my roster as a second quarterback.
Cool.
You picking Braxton Berrios?
No. That's where I draw the line.
It's funny how this is going down. So if we look at the rankings, you guys did not rank Mike White.
No,
I have Mike White listed as QB 10 for me this week, but I'm actually going to swipe left.
Unbelievable.
On the blank profile as well as the Mike White profile as well. It's a great story, but what I haven't been able to wrap my head around is, after seeing what they saw last year, why was he still the QB3 going into this season? Like, why would you not want to play him sooner, especially when Zach Wilson went down early? Like, is that just a matter of, like, because of what?
Was it money? How much is Flacco making?
Can't be making that much, honestly.
Yeah, but making zero.
Let me see.
League minimum.
But I just don't see it. It's a great story.
3.5.
Yeah, Flacco's not making nothing. But it's like, I guess you could make the argument that if you're trying to win football games, Mike White's a nice story. We don't want to figure out if he's good or not, especially if they would have started off slow, then probably not in the spot that they are now.
And actually, to your point, Flacco is making $650,000 per game on incentives, like, that he plays. So it actually would have been more beneficial for him to play Mike White. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never been the whole 2 QBs on my roster anyway. So
that's actually a fair point too. But if I'm having 2 quarterbacks, I feel fine about having them on the roster.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not going to drop somebody for him, but I mean,
I'm not normally 2 QBs on my roster either, but when we're getting to playoff time, I want to have more backup options.
Yeah.
Than just wing it each week. I don't really want to stream in the playoffs.
Do you think that they'll bring back Zach Wilson still? Do you think this impacts that at all, or do you think he's on a timeline and he just comes back? Because that's the other thing I think about too. Like, if they said that they want him to play again this year, But
his best scenario is if Mike White comes out and gets destroyed in one of these games and they bring him in the second half and somehow Wilson plays well. That's the best move for him.
I think the worst part about all this from Zach Wilson's standpoint is the team has played well.
Yeah.
Like they're in the playoff mix. Like how do you make that quarterback switch back? I understand they were 5-2 with him as the starter or something like that.
Yeah.
He certainly wasn't the reason why. Like as long as this team keeps winning and Mike White is playing well, I don't know how he does get back into a game this year unless the Jets just like totally collapse and they're like, well, we might as well go back to the guy that we've actually invested in pretty highly.
His best shot is next week against Buffalo, in my opinion. They just get smoked in the first half.